You follow all the rules. You fast the way everyone says you should: 16-8, clean fast, black coffee, no snacks. And yet nothing changes. You step on the scale and it's stuck. The belly fat still hangs around like it owns you. The bloating shows up right after your first meal, and instead of feeling light and energized, you feel puffy, sluggish, and confused. You start to wonder, am I broken? You're not overeating. You're disciplined. You've done everything right. But the results just don't show up. I know that frustration. I remember fasting perfectly for weeks, thinking I was doing something wrong with my body. But what I eventually discovered flipped everything upside down. It wasn't me that was broken. It wasn't fasting that was broken either. It was how I was doing it. The truth is, there are hidden fasting mistakes that quietly block instant fat loss, even when you're following every rule. Tiny details, things you'd never think matter, can completely switch off your fat burning mode. And once you fix these small mistakes, your body almost immediately starts to respond. Energy comes back, hunger calms down. The belly fat that felt impossible to lose begins melting within weeks, sometimes days. I'm going to show you exactly what those hidden mistakes are and how to flip your body back into fat burning mode fast. Because once you understand this, fasting starts working for you again, not against you. Most people think that as long as they're fasting for 16 hours and keeping calories under control, their timing doesn't matter. They assume as long as they eat within their window, they're safe. But here's the thing. Your timing can completely sabotage your results, even when your food and fasting hours look perfect on paper. Let me explain. Your body doesn't just burn fat based on how long you fast. It burns fat according to your circadian rhythm. This is your internal clock that controls your hormones, metabolism, and digestion throughout the day. When you eat too late or at inconsistent hours, you confuse that rhythm and your fat-burning hormones get thrown off balance. Insulin, the hormone that decides whether your body stores fat or burns it, becomes elevated when you eat at night, and when insulin is high, fat burning shuts down instantly. Think about it, you've been fasting all day, doing everything right. You finally break your fast around 6 or 7 p.m. and then maybe have another small meal or snack later in the evening. You're still technically within your eating window, but your body doesn't care about that. It cares about light and darkness. After sunset, your metabolism naturally slows down. Your digestive system begins to rest. Melatonin, your sleep hormone, starts to rise. And when melatonin goes up, insulin sensitivity goes down. That means every calorie you eat late at night is far more likely to be stored as fat, not burned. I used to eat late too, sometimes dinner at 9 p.m., thinking it didn't matter because I was still fasting the next morning. But I noticed a pattern: bloating after dinner, slower digestion, restless sleep, and zero changes in my midsection. It wasn't until I shifted my eating window earlier, say breaking fast around 11 a.m. or noon, and finishing my last meal by 6 p.m., that my body finally started to change. Within days, I felt lighter waking up. My stomach was flatter. My energy didn't crash mid-afternoon. The reason is simple. When your meal timing aligns with your circadian rhythm, your body starts working with you, not against you. Your insulin levels stay lower. Your metabolism runs more efficiently during daylight hours. You burn more fat between meals and your sleep improves, which means even more fat loss overnight. And here's something most people miss. Inconsistent fasting hours are just as damaging as late night eating. If you eat at 10 a.m. one day, 2 p.m. the next, and skip meals randomly, your body never knows when to expect food. That inconsistency keeps stress hormones like cortisol elevated, and high cortisol makes your body hold on to belly fat, especially visceral fat around the organs. So even if your calories are low and your fasting window looks right, the stress from unpredictable timing cancels out your progress. Your metabolism thrives on rhythm and predictability. The same hours day after day. That's when your hormones settle. That's when your body feels safe enough to release stored fat. If you want to make fasting work, keep your window steady and finish eating before sunset whenever possible. Your body digests food best when it's light outside, and that's when your mitochondria, the tiny fat burning engines in your cells, are the most active. So the silent saboteur isn't what you eat, it's when you eat. Shift your meals earlier, stay consistent, and let your body's natural rhythm do the heavy lifting. What you eat when you break your fast matters even more than how long you fasted. The very first bite you take decides whether your body goes into fat burning mode or fat storing mode. And most people unknowingly choose the exact foods that cancel out all the benefits of fasting, spiking insulin and shutting down fat loss within minutes. You've been fasting all night or all day, your insulin levels are finally low. Your body is primed to tap into stored fat for energy, and then you break your fast with a glass of orange juice, a banana, oatmeal, or even something like yogurt with fruit. It feels healthy, right? But what happens next is your blood sugar shoots up, your insulin spikes, and your body instantly stops burning fat to store that incoming sugar. Within just 1 or 2 bites, you've reversed hours of work. That's the trap. The fasting window gives you this illusion of progress, but one wrong choice. When you break, it can completely undo it. You might still be eating clean, but your body reads that surge of sugar as a signal store, not burn. Here's what's actually happening inside you. After fasting, your insulin sensitivity is temporarily heightened. Your cells are wide open, ready to absorb nutrients. This can be powerful if you use it right. But if the first thing you give your body is fast, digesting carbs, it triggers an exaggerated insulin response. That insulin rise pushes glucose into storage and locks fat inside your cells. The fat burning switch that fasting built up, it turns right off. Now, the fix is surprisingly simple, and it's something that changed everything for me. Instead of breaking your fast with carbs or fruit, start with protein or fat. This is called the protein first or fat first method. When you start with something like eggs, salmon, a fatty cut of beef, or even a small amount of buttered bone broth, your insulin rises gently, not sharply. You stay in a metabolic state that favors fat oxidation, meaning your body continues to burn stored fat for energy even as you start eating again. Protein also triggers glucagon, a hormone that works opposite of insulin. While insulin stores energy, glucagon releases it, so when you prioritize protein first, you keep your metabolism in a fat-burning rhythm instead of flipping back to storage mode. Here's how this plays out in real life. Let's say you fast for 18 hours. You could break your fast with a small meal of scrambled eggs in butter, maybe a few slices of avocado or some sardines with olive oil and salt. You eat slowly, wait 20-30 minutes, and then if you want, you can add some low-carb veggies or even a small piece of fruit. This way, the initial insulin response stays low, your energy stays stable. And you avoid that sudden crash or post-meal bloating that happens when you lead with sugar. I've seen this simple swap make all the difference. People who struggled with cravings, fatigue, and stalled fat loss suddenly start losing inches around the waist once they change how they break their fast. It's not because they're eating less. It's because they're finally letting their body stay in the fat burning zone. And if you've ever broken a fast and felt hungry again just an hour later, that's another clue your insulin spiked too high. Protein and fat keep hunger hormones stable, meaning you'll feel full longer, burn more fat, and stay focused without that constant craving loop. The key takeaway: fasting only works when the way you end it matches the goal you started it for. If you want to burn fat, don't end your fast with sugar or carbs. Lead with protein, stabilize insulin, and let your metabolism keep doing its job. It's easy to fall into the mindset that if fasting works, eating even less will make it work faster. You start stretching your fasting hours longer and longer, cutting your meals smaller and smaller, thinking that this discipline will finally force the fat off. But here's the shocking truth. Eating too little for too long can actually stop your body from losing fat. It can slow down your metabolism, throw your hormones off balance, and make fat loss feel impossible even when you're doing everything right. When you undereat, your body senses danger. It doesn't know you're fasting for fat loss. It thinks food is scarce and you're in survival mode. In response, it lowers your thyroid activity to save energy, raises cortisol, your stress hormone, and slows down every process that burns calories. This means even your digestion, body temperature, and fat oxidation start to drop. You feel colder, more tired, and hungrier, but somehow your weight doesn't move. I've seen this happen so many times, especially to women who are consistent, disciplined, and doing everything by the book. They fast every day, keep calories low, avoid carbs, and yet their progress stalls. They start feeling weaker, their energy crashes, and some even begin gaining weight after fasting too long. It's heartbreaking because they're not lazy, they're actually overdoing it. Your body is incredibly smart. When it feels starved for too long, it doesn't burn more fat, it saves it. This is called metabolic adaptation. It's your body's built-in protection system. And if you've been fasting aggressively for weeks or months without seeing results, chances are this is what's happening. The solution isn't to fast harder, it's to fast smarter. You need to reintroduce food strategically to remind your metabolism it's safe to burn fat again. These are called refeed days, and they're not cheat days. They're intentional days when you eat more nutrient-dense food, especially protein and healthy fats to support your thyroid, adrenal glands, and muscle tissue. Think of it like giving your metabolism a deep breath. When you increase calories slightly, your thyroid hormones, especially T3, the one that drives your metabolic rate, start rising again. Cortisol levels settle, your sleep improves, and your body stops clinging to every calorie for survival. That's when fat loss begins to move again, smoothly and steadily. Here's how to do it effectively. If you normally fast 18 hours daily, try shortening your fast to 16 hours once or twice a week and eating a bit more. Focusing on whole food sources like red meat, eggs, butter, avocado, and even a little extra salt to balance electrolytes. These refeeds don't derail your results, they restore them. Over time, this cycle of fasting and refueling keeps your metabolism flexible. It learns to switch easily between burning fat and using food for energy without stress. The best part, you start feeling alive again. Your mood lifts. Workouts get stronger. Sleep becomes deeper. You wake up hungry, not in a desperate way, but in a healthy, energized way that tells you your metabolism is back online. And if you've ever noticed that your hair feels thinner, your skin drier, or your energy dropping during long fasting streaks, that's your body's way of whispering, I need more fuel. Long-term calorie restriction doesn't just affect your waistline. It affects every cell in your body. Hormones like leptin and ghrelin, which regulate hunger and fullness, become dysregulated, making you crave food at odd times and lose touch with true hunger signals. So instead of punishing your body with less, start nourishing it with the right amount. Strategic refeeds are not failure. They are maintenance. They teach your body to trust you again. So many people think that as long as they're sticking to their fasting window, their body will automatically burn fat. But fasting isn't just about hours and meals, it's about your state while fasting. If your body is under stress, running on no sleep, juggling too much, or constantly anxious, fasting can actually backfire. Because when your stress hormone cortisol rises too high, it shuts off fat burning, especially around the belly. Cortisol isn't the villain, it's a survival hormone. It's what helps you wake up, stay alert, and even burn fat in balance. But when you combine fasting with emotional stress, overwork, or poor recovery, cortisol stays elevated all day. High cortisol tells your body we're in danger. Store energy, don't release it. And guess what form of energy storage the body prefers? Belly fat, the deep visceral kind that's hardest to lose. I used to think feeling wired during fasting was a good thing. I'd run on caffeine, get through hours of work without eating, and feel proud of my discipline. But inside, my cortisol was spiking nonstop. My sleep got worse, cravings came back stronger, and my fat loss completely stalled. My body wasn't in a healing, fat-burning state. It was in survival mode. That's the part most people miss. Fasting is a stress to the body. When done correctly, it's a controlled stress that encourages adaptation and healing. But if you layer it on top of emotional stress, poor sleep, or too much exercise, it becomes overwhelming. Instead of triggering fat oxidation, your body clings to fat as protection. That's why some people gain belly fat even while fasting perfectly. Their cortisol never drops low enough for fat-burning hormones like growth hormone and glucagon to take over. The fix isn't to fast harder, it's to soothe your body while fasting. Start by focusing on hydration and electrolytes. When cortisol rises, your body loses sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Without replenishment, you feel fatigued, irritable, and foggy, which only adds more stress. A simple pinch of mineral salt in water or a homemade electrolyte mix can keep your energy stable and your nervous system calm. Gentle movement helps too. Not the high-intensity workouts that push cortisol higher, but walks, stretching, yoga, or slow strength training. These activities lower stress hormones and keep your metabolism flexible. You don't have to exhaust yourself to burn fat. In fact, the calmer your body feels, the more easily it lets go of stored fat. And then there's sleep, the most underrated fat loss tool of all. During deep sleep, cortisol naturally drops while growth hormone rises. That's the perfect hormonal state for fat burning. But when you sleep less than 6 hours, that balance reverses. Your cortisol stays high through the night, and by morning, your insulin sensitivity drops. So even if you fast perfectly, your hormonal environment is working against you. I started treating sleep like part of my fasting routine, not separate from it. I made sure my last meal ended 3 hours before bed, dimmed the lights early, and kept my room cool and dark. The difference was unreal. My sleep got deeper. I woke up feeling lighter, and my waistline started shrinking again, without changing my fasting hours at all. Fasting is supposed to calm your system. It's supposed to help your body reset, not fight for balance. The moment fasting starts feeling like a fight, when you're jittery, restless, or drained, that's a sign your cortisol is in control, not your fat-burning hormones. After struggling with fasting plateaus, constant hunger, and stubborn belly fat, I finally discovered that the real secret to lasting results isn't fasting harder, it's resetting your metabolism to become flexible again. When your metabolism is flexible, your body can easily switch between burning glucose and burning fat without resistance. But when it's rigid, from chronic stress, under-eating, or inconsistent meal timing, fat loss becomes painfully slow no matter how disciplined you are. That's why I started teaching what I call the 3-week fat burning reset, a science-backed fasting and refeed rhythm that gently retrains your body to burn fat naturally again. This reset isn't about restriction. It's about creating the right hormonal rhythm that wakes up your metabolism. Over these 3 weeks, you'll alternate between controlled fasting and strategic refeed days. The fasting days lower insulin, trigger autophagy, and encourage your body to pull energy from stored fat. The refeed days, on the other hand, remind your metabolism that it's safe, boosting thyroid function, restoring leptin sensitivity, and rebuilding muscle tissue. When you combine both in the right balance, your body learns to burn fat without fighting you. Week 1 is all about restoring insulin sensitivity. You'll fast between 16 to 18 hours most days and eat balanced high-protein, low-carb meals in a 68-hour window. Focus on nutrient-dense animal foods, beef, eggs, butter, salmon, and avoid sugars or processed carbs. This week teaches your body to stabilize blood sugar and re-enter fat-burning mode. You'll probably notice hunger calming down and energy becoming more steady. Week 2 introduces metabolic flexibility. You'll keep your fasting schedule, but add 1 refeed day midweek, a day where you eat slightly more calories, especially from protein and healthy fats. This tells your thyroid and adrenal glands that there's no famine, reducing cortisol and keeping your metabolism active. During this phase, your mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses in your cells, begin to produce more energy. You'll feel it as sharper focus, lighter digestion, and deeper sleep. By week 3, your body starts to operate like a fat-burning machine. This is when visceral fat, the deep, stubborn kind around your organs, begins to melt. You're no longer relying on willpower or caffeine to get through fasts. Your hunger is under control, your mood is balanced, and your metabolism is running efficiently. This week focuses on maintaining consistency, eating your first meal earlier in the day, staying hydrated, and keeping stress low. You'll continue 1 refeed day per week to protect your metabolic rate and keep hormones in sync. The beauty of this 3-week cycle is how gentle it feels once you're in rhythm. You're not forcing your body, you're working with it. Fasting stops being punishment and starts feeling like freedom. You don't count calories or obsess over macros. Instead, you focus on signals, hunger, energy, sleep, and recovery. What's amazing is that after just 3 weeks, most people notice visible changes. Flatter stomach, reduced bloating, clearer skin, and a deep sense of calm around food. That's the power of metabolic flexibility. When your body trusts that it will be fed and rested, It stops hoarding fat and starts burning it automatically. And if you've ever hit a fasting plateau where no amount of discipline seems to work, this reset breaks that wall. It teaches your body to respond again, to burn cleanly and efficiently like it's meant to. Imagine waking up and feeling your body light, strong, and balanced, not starving, not bloated, but truly in flow. That's what happens when fasting and nourishment work together instead of competing. I've seen so many people completely transform once they stopped obsessing over perfect fasting and started focusing on smart fasting, the kind that works with their hormones, not against them. The difference is night and day. I remember one woman who came to me after months of strict fasting. She was doing everything right, 18-hour fasts, black coffee, 0 snacks, but her belly fat wouldn't budge. She was tired, cold, and losing motivation. When we looked closer, she was making all the hidden mistakes we've been talking about: eating too late, breaking her fast with fruit smoothies, fasting under stress, and never refueling enough. Once she shifted her meal timing earlier, broke her fast with protein-added electrolytes, and gave herself 1 refeed day per week, her body completely changed. In 3 weeks, her bloating disappeared, her sleep improved, and her waistline dropped by inches. Without fasting harder, just smarter. Another client had been stuck in a plateau for months. He was convinced he needed longer fasts, so he pushed to 24 and even 36 hours multiple times a week. Instead of losing weight, he started gaining. His energy plummeted, his workouts suffered, and he couldn't sleep through the night. We brought him back to balance, shorter, consistent fasts with more protein and strategic refeeds, and within 2 weeks, his metabolism came back online. The weight started dropping again, and for the first time, he felt strong instead of depleted. These stories always remind me that fasting isn't meant to be punishment. It's meant to be a partnership with your body. Long-term success comes from balance. You need the fat-burning power of fasting and the nourishment of proper refeeds. You need consistency, but also flexibility. You need effort, but also recovery. That's the formula for sustainable fat loss that lasts for life. When you combine everything we've talked about: meal timing, insulin control, stress management, and metabolic resets, fasting becomes effortless. You no longer rely on willpower to stay consistent because your body finally wants to fast. Your hunger normalizes, your cravings fade, and your energy stays stable from morning to night. That's the point where fasting becomes a lifestyle, not a struggle. And it's not just about fat loss. People who correct these fasting mistakes notice their skin clearing, mood stabilizing, digestion improving, and brain fog lifting. They finally understand that health isn't built through deprivation. It's built through rhythm. When your hormones, sleep, and metabolism align, your body becomes incredibly efficient at maintaining its ideal weight naturally. The most important thing is to trust the process. Your body is not a machine. It's an adaptive, intelligent system that needs both structure and compassion. Don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Missing one fasting day doesn't erase your progress. Having one later meal doesn't ruin your results. What matters is the overall pattern, the daily rhythm you build over time. If you find yourself hitting a plateau again, instead of panicking, ask, am I eating too late? Am I underfueling? Am I stressed or underslept? 9 times out of 10, the answer lies there. Adjust gently, breathe, and give your body space to rebalance. The results always follow. This is how you fast for life, with ease, rhythm, and awareness. No extremes, no burnout, no guilt. Just you tuned into your body signals, letting it do what it's designed to do: burn fat efficiently, stay energized, and thrive. Which of these fasting mistakes surprised you the most? I'd love to hear your answer in the comments. And if you learned something new today, make sure to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it.